to another night of Chess on Psychology, aka Topalov games. Yeah, my obsession with Topalov's games still continues. I don't know how long it will continue, but man, he has some really nice games. Um, I think that might also be a little influenced by me becoming good friends with the new Bulgarian girl. My newest teammate, Gabriela. So I guess that's also another thing to consider. But alright, so enough about my obsession with Bulgars. Let's let's talk some chess. So I wanted to initially talk a little, instead of Topalov, to talk about the Corus Norway tournament, but honestly, I feel like everybody's talking about it, so I kind of like to take a step back and just look at some older games, some a little bit more, I would say, classic games, or same with like US Chess Championship games, either the juniors, women, junior girls, or junior boys. I feel like that's something that's still going on, and they have such a strong commentary. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at some older games. So this specifically was a game that was, oh god, oh my god, I probably need to adjust the board. I apologize, a little issue here, my bad. Hold on, I'm working on it. Shouldn't be too horrible. Just made a small mistake of thinking I was gonna do something, and then I realized I wasn't. I apologize for the adjustments. Okay. Okay, I've gotten good at this cropping, huh? Probably should be a little bit more. Oh, that's a little more than a little bit. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry about that. I have like a split screen, and I didn't realize until the last minute that I needed to fix that. Okay. Where is my comer? Why would my comer be here? I'm kind of streaming from home, so that's a very funny question. um, okay, yeah, it's good now. Yeah, thank you for waiting on me while I fix that small issue. It shouldn't have happened. Sorry. Okay, let's just make sure it's not showing any other thing. Might be showing. I got a suggestion last time I was streaming that when I tried to like look at the bar, that I actually have no idea how to not have the bar there. Some players could take a peek at it, and it could affect their evaluation of the position. So yeah, I'm kind of trying not to show that. But okay, I think every technical thing is good now. Yeah. Alright, so this game was a very interesting game between Topalov and Kramnik. So there are a lot of interesting games between Topalov and Kramnik, but chess-wise, I think this one probably is my favorite. At least from just, I feel like this is just, it was just so awesome. And the cat was fed, but the cat wants to go out. Even though he was out for like an hour and a half, the cat always wants to go out. Can't really do anything about that, unless there are any volunteers to come walk my cat. I can't have him outside all the time. But the cat, yeah, he will make an appearance sometime today. He's very, very playful right now. But okay. Let's switch the topic from cat to Topalov / Kramnik. So I really enjoyed this game because, as you see the title, I was a little shocked by the what happened to the queen in this game, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted to show this game, just because it was such an interesting idea that they had, and I really wish that I was the one who. If I was in that position, I would go ahead and play like that. But I haven't really had much of a queen sacrificing chance recently. But okay, so well, so far so good. Normal opening. Nobody is really doing anything so out of the ordinary. I believe for those of you who are not very familiar with this opening, White's idea is generally to try and eventually get an e4 in some way, ideally. Could be with e3, bishop d3, could be not, could be just the whole idea with e4 could be ignored, but e4 is one of the big ideas that White tries to achieve. Some of the other things that White could potentially try is with bishop f4 or bishop g5. Both of those are also super interesting. Black's bishop definitely belongs on d6 in the long run. This bishop can be a little annoying to just make sense of because it really depends. If Black could actually get to a position that could play something like very feisty, yeah, potentially that would be super cool, but that doesn't really seem realistic. Yeah, I think something with b5 eventually is interesting to try and just, you know, kick around a little. But yeah, I think those are the like main things to mention in this type of pawn structures, because there are some who prefer to continue with g3, bishop g2, but mainly g3 would you would play from a different move order. But okay, so enough about just talking about where the pieces belong, and let's actually get to it. So after bishop g5, again, there are many different ways that Black could continue, but in this game, Kramnik went for h6 and he took on c4. So my first question for you guys, does anybody actually play this with White or Black? And if you do, well, maybe you can try to guide us on where the pieces belong. If you don't play this, feel free to type in the chat and tell us, well, White to move, what do you want to do? Oh, well, that's interesting. You play this with White and Black. Wow. Alright, great. A lot of players actually do play this with White or / and Black. Yeah, okay, I think that's an interesting thing. Yeah, so William, I think you're correct on move suggestion of e4. I think e4 is something that, I think when these e4s happen, the biggest thing to think about is e4, because if there was no e4, then like the d takes c4s could potentially become too strong. So I agree, e4 is definitely our move. Now, Black has two different ideas that could potentially transpose to each other. One of them is with bishop b4. So the idea would be to like play g5 and take knight takes e4. One of them is to play g5 and b5. But the moves are kind of similar because Black's idea is to go after this pawn. And I feel like this bishop should be on b4 after taking on c4. Ideally, Black wants to keep his pawn, right? So these are just thinking about it super logically for someone who doesn't even know much of theory in this position. I think these are some of the main things to consider. So yeah. Anyways, so in this position, Kramnik went for g5. Okay, bishop g3, normal. And he played b5. So what do you guys think about this position? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you want to be White? Do you want to be Black? And please try to tell me a move suggestion for what should White do. Oh, a4, I like that. Very, very aggressive. What I would suggest is be careful because Black does want to play b4 and take on your e4. So that's something to keep in mind. I do like it for White too. Exactly. Wow, Yaroslav. Yeah, I believe bishop e2 is very interesting. I do think that is actually the best move as well. You could think about a3 if you are super worried about b4. I don't think there is anything absolutely wrong with a3, but at the same time you would be kind of wasting some time. So yeah, I do think bishop e2 is the most interesting one. This is funny. So here black plays bishop b7, and okay, white to move. What do you think we should do? There are other moves for black. We are going to take a quick look at b4 as well, but first of all, bishop b7, what are you gonna do? This is funny. For a little while, Tracy has been mentioning that I should be streaming on Lichess, and I am streaming on Lichess. I guess it's not showing. I thought it was clear that it's on Lichess, but yes, Tracy, I am on Lichess with my personal account, if that's what you're asking. Sorry, I can't read the chat and type at the same time, so I just answer out loud here. Woohoo! Oh, whoa! I see h4. Wow. So I believe h4 is actually quite interesting. h4, g4, knight e5. Ooh, this is looking real sharp now. Is bishop g7 or knight d7? I believe those are the ways. I don't really like bishop g7 though. Bishop g7, like, it doesn't make any sense. I could simply pick up on here. Okay, yeah, I do think that h4 is interesting, but let's take a quick look, because I do want to mention this b4 before we move along. So we're gonna come back to h4, but I want to solve this b4 question first. So if b4, we're definitely gonna go knight a4, and if knight takes e4, I believe just bishop e5 is interesting. I don't think f6 is a good idea, because, well, first of all, this knight is a serious problem. If you take, this is falling, g6 is happening, bishop c4 is coming. I don't think anybody wants to have this position. So, so you knew the theory. All right, interesting, good. It's good to know about the first 10-ish moves on most of the big openings, just to know where you're trying to place your pieces. Yep, that was pretty horrible, I agree. I do not think that taking and playing f6 is a good idea, but I guess black could just try to put the knight back, and then we could, I kind of want to see if I can try and... Well, this pawn is mine. I don't really need to rush into eating it. I could just maybe castle. I think this is an interesting choice of continuing this position. But yeah. Yeah. Alright. So let's just... I think that's what I wanted to mention, just to consider this bishop e5s if the knight takes on e4, to just be aware of that. Alright, oh boy, I changed the temperature on my air conditioner and it's accidentally giving out some really hot air. Yeah, kind of making a sauna over here. Alright, so in the game, however, after bishop e2, bishop b7 was played by Kramnik, and I think now this is an interesting choice because we mentioned something with h4, and h4 is, I think, a really interesting continuation, because after g4, knight e5, we also do have the knight f7 ideas, depending on what black does, but just the existence of it is pretty awesome. So if black was actually to play bishop g7, we could take over here on f7 and play e5 and just want to like somehow bring up the knights, which is kind of cool. I don't think I would actually play this in a game, and I guess that's why Topalov is so stronger than me. But I do think that this is something just to keep in the back of your mind, that these kind of tactics do exist. So okay, that is another. Also the G-pawn, yeah, I agree. The G-pawn is also pretty looking pretty good. So I mean, I guess if you were to play something like knight d7, I could consider taking on g4. I'm still hoping for some knight f7, e5s. But okay, so that's another thing to keep in mind when in this type of position, especially when the center is so weak. This ideas with knight f7s, e5s, having the other knight coming to e4. Those are some ideas to keep in mind. Again, it really depends on the position, but okay. So, however, in the game, Topalov played short castle. And to be honest, short castle was a little weird to me because I was under the impression that we wanted to play from like the both sides of like A and H and then bring it to the center. But this is actually another interesting choice to go after the center, but it just feels like such a chill move. You just castle, super chill, just wait to see what the opponent does. I think this was a very interesting choice from White. So one thing that we could consider is, well, what if now Black played something like b4? Do we care about that? What do you think we should do after b4? And for my own ability to not melt up here, I need to lower the temperature. So I will be back in literally about 10 seconds. I apologize for the inconvenience, but it is so hot in here. It's just getting sauna. Ugh. Well, thank you for staying with me during this 10 seconds while I struggle to work the freaking air condition. I've been living here for 3 years and I still have issues with the air conditioning. Well, it's still pretty hot. Okay, so yeah, I think b4 is an interesting thing to look at, and I see some ideas with knight a4. I think knight a4 is pretty awesome. Oh, I see e5. I do think knight a4 is your second best move, but I think e5 is just an easier way because, well, first of all, if he takes, oh boy, that is just gonna be a lovely continuation. This was just so fun to look at. Picking up b2, you don't really know, you can't really put the king anywhere safe. You don't really know what to do with the bishop. Bishop c4 is popping up. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I don't think Kramnik would have had any issues deciding that if he plays b4, his game is going to be extremely unpleasant. So in the game, Kramnik just went knight d7. We played knight e5. Topalov played knight e5. The idea behind knight e5 was, it's an idea that we already mentioned. I'm hoping that some of you guys will consider it a little bit more deeply before we kind of give up the move. So bishop g7. Now, what do you think we should do? So there are a bunch of different moves that White could do. You could try for a4, you could try doing something with this knight. I guess anything besides h4. Yeah, I do think pawns on f6, especially when you're White, are pretty awesome. So, thank you, Imat. I do, yep, good choice. Yeah, knight f7, pretty awesome. Keep in mind that if you didn't feel comfortable with sacrificing, you could always try something with knight d7. If the queen takes, you still have this idea, right? If the knight takes, you have bishop d6 and you stop castle. So I think this is another interesting continuation. If you are not comfortable with sacrificing your piece for an that you can't unseeable future. I don't think that is right English. I know there's a foreseeable future. So good luck to my English career. But yes, I do think that if you're uncomfortable with sacrificing when you can't see too much ahead, invisible future, that is much better, thank you. If you're uncomfortable with the invisible future of your sacrificed knight, you don't have to do it. I think it's an awesome move, and it was definitely a shock to Kramnik because nobody wants to have that knight f7, right? So yeah, knight f7, I think, yeah. Also keep in mind that this game is older, so if you are planning on playing this line with the current theory, make sure to double check the current theory on this. So that is another thing to keep in mind when you're watching somewhat classic, anything above like 7-8 years ago, you should definitely check it. I feel like you can still play some of the like 7-8 years ago lines, but you still need to know what you're doing, so you need to be updated on the games. But yes. Nice, this game invented knight f7. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, I think this was a pretty awesome thing to do. So well, you have to take it, you don't really have much of a choice. e5, you just gotta do it. You could actually think about f4, but f4 is just not as good. I think the problem with having this f4 is that, well, after f4 there are b4s, and the knight is, you know, the knight was nope, not that way. The knight was supposed to go to d6, and now you can't really, you can't really get to that d6 anymore. So you should probably like sacrifice another batch of knights. You have to deal with whole that. I wouldn't recommend this. Why would you let your opponent slip away? So e5, keep everything tidy, keep everything clean, keep everything super duper annoying for your opponent. Alright, so knight d5, I don't think, so what do you guys want to do now? I think the two main choices are either knight e4 or something with like bishop h5. I think those are the two logical ways to continue. I'm not necessarily sure how much I actually like bishop h5. I like that it stops any ideas with h5, but I don't think we should do that, because if the knight goes to e4, knight d6 is an actual threat. But if we play like bishop h5, king, I guess g8, then knight e4, you're not actually threatening anything. So I think we should actually go for knight e4. Yeah. Yeah, as I said, if bishop h5, there could be just like king g8. Maybe king g8 wasn't forced actually. Well, I don't want to go to f8. Maybe e7 to try and run away to that side. So I was watching the US junior girls, and there was this one game that really captured my eye. I believe Jennifer Yu was black. Either Annie Wang was white or Krisa. I think it was Annie Wang. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But that game, just the way that game went. Nah, that was probably Krisa. The way that game went, it was so tactical. The king was running. It was probably Carissa, yeah, because I don't think Annie doesn't play e4. Yeah, so yeah, so that was an interesting game. It was just so awesome. So if you haven't watched that, feel free to go check that out as well. It was just very mind-blowing. Carissa does have really awesome games. Okay, so that's another thing. Don't let your opponent just slip away. So bishop h5, you could be pushing the king to go to the queen side. So don't do that. Just keep everything super nice. Oh, yeah, I think I completely agree with knight e4, knight e6 being accurate, and then the queen turned the game. Yeah, I think that's the most logical way to go about it. So king e7, as we said, black king gotta run, because if that king doesn't run, then, well, that king is gonna get toasted. So the king has to run, the king has to stay somewhere close to center, ready to go to the queen side, but even queen side won't necessarily be safe. So I think that is something to consider deeply. And okay, so white to move, what do you want to do? So I don't think black is actually losing. I do think white's, if white plays every single move super accurately, then yes, black is going to be in trouble, because white has enough compensation for the sacrificed knight, but I wouldn't call this winning or losing. The game still goes on for quite some time. So I see some f4 and h4 ideas, but let me ask you, why did we bring knight to e4? Exactly, knight d6, thank you. Let's just continue with knight d6, and well, if you let me, I will definitely eat your piece. So, that is a good description of having your foot in the opponent's face. I would think I have my knight in opponent's face, but yeah, I like that, yeah. I think after knight d6, the interesting thing is that, well, black really does have to do something about this poor bishop, but this bishop is more like a tall pawn. You can't really do anything about it. I guess you could try to open it up, but this is also going to be way too wasteful. So yeah, so queen b6 seems to be the best way to go about it. We could consider bishop g4, but I wanted to mention, I kind of wanted to emphasize a little on what do we think about rook b8. So what do you think about this rook b8? To be completely honest, I don't feel that difference between rook b8 or queen b6. I just feel like both of them are equally unfortunate. But what move would you want to do? I don't think rook b8 is doing much for black's position, but at the same time, having the queen a little closer to the king feels a little more comfortable. So we could consider f4, we could consider bishop h5, simply going knight f7. I think those two are the best ones. Yeah, sure, let's take a look at f4. Well, first of all, takes, I don't exactly think that is going to have much to it, because now rook f7, that will be such a pretty mate. So that is one way that we could go about this. I really gotta get this queen somewhere though. Maybe I could just attack the bishop first. Just try to get the queen to come out. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with this position, to be honest. Yeah, I think this is a good position. You just get your pieces out and this king in the middle, you can't really do much about it. I guess you could try to take over here. I just need to move this bishop somewhere. Bishop f3. I like this position for white. I mean, I would prefer it if I got some mate out of it, but I don't think realistically this position has that much to offer. It's just really great spatial advantage, and there's nothing wrong with converting your advantage to, like, from having more space to having more material, or just, I think the whole idea with converting advantage is very underrated. So yeah, okay, so good. Yeah, I'm glad it mentioned this f4, and if black doesn't take it, black could potentially try something with queen b6. The idea is, because this pawn is going to be pinned, something could happen to e5, so you can't just keep pushing because there is knight takes e5, right? So you could just play like Kingish one, and I think that's interesting. But knight e3s, it could get a little tricky. So if you are planning on playing f4, I would say to just keep in mind, just be aware of the dangers. And I guess that's why f4 isn't exactly the favorite. Instead, against rook b8, the favorite is actually just getting the bishop out, or bishop g4, one of these two, and then trying to play f4. I believe one of the ideas is that you just want to get the queen out, you just need that queen to get out. So yeah, that is just one other thing. Yeah, I agree, f4 doesn't necessarily feel the best either. Okay, I'm glad there's such good understandings among chat. Alright, so I feel like we are getting a better grip on the position. So what about queen b6? Shall we still try to do something with our bishop? Do you want to just play f4 and just... Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that just yet. Also, wow, it got really cold again. I really don't like this temperature in this room. Oof. No wonder I'm always wearing hoodies and I never get a good feeling of actually what's the temperature. Alright, I see there are a lot of preference for bishop h5. I like that. What about bishop g4? Ah, I see somebody saying bishop g4. I mean, if I could have that bishop, I mean, I think one of the problems is how am I going to get my other pieces out, not just the bishop. So I like bishop g4 more because the problem is with bishop g4, even if you have zero intentions of sacrificing, now black has to be like, oh my god, he wants to take that. It's kind of like just, whoops, it's kind of just tricky. You don't necessarily want to get this pawn right away. You gotta get some queen in too, but at the same time I feel like it's just tricky because your opponent is just gonna be scared of it, and you should play moves like that. You should play moves that make your opponent be a little scared, even if you have no intentions of following up with that plan. So bishop h3, queen g4, I like that too. I kind of like just queen c2, queen g6. I think that's a little bit more straightforward. Yeah, okay, I think you guys have the right ideas. Yes. Good, good, awesome. So in the game, Kramnik played rook f8, and I believe the idea was quite understandable. Well, I'm gonna run with my king, man. Gonna run. I feel like that's the general idea, to just get the king running. I do not think we should even consider this, because take and we just don't have enough pieces. We just have one strong knight over there, so I would not recommend this. I don't think you should go after ghost tactics. But I do think that you should bring in more pieces. So queen c2, you want to bring in queen to g6. You want to just go after this awesome e6. I don't know why this is giving me so much, it's reminding me so much of the game that I told you, the Krisa Jennifer game. A lot of the ideas that I'm seeing here was also in that game. So I think that's a nice connection. I don't know if you guys saw that game. If you haven't, you gotta see that game. That game was really awesome. This Krisa girl plays really well, and we're gonna play her in US Championships next week. So, yay! Okay. Okay, so yes, queen c2. how do you guys think black could try to defend? What do you think black should try to do? This is actually a pretty hard way for, this is like a very interesting but quite hard move for black to play, and heads up, Kramnik did not find this move. Hello, kitty. Oh, I see some king moves, some knight moves. Some cat moves. Oh, hello. Oh, it's your new instructor, Master Dorsa Derakhshani. Okay, kitty, you gotta come down. So, ooh, I see a rook g8. I don't know if this move was calculated or if it was just somewhat of a shooting, but rook g8 is pretty strong. Good job. Rook f8 and you rook f7 and you didn't rook f5 and you didn't really do much of calculation. You just I mean, I agree, queen g6 is pretty scary, and I honestly don't really understand why Kramnik just took on d4. So in the game, Kramnik just played queen takes d4, and I think that was an interesting choice, but at the same time, I don't know if I would do that. Just feels so just I don't want this queen g6. Like, I would do anything I can to stop this queen g6. So kitty g8, yeah. I mean, kitty's sitting right here right now, at least not attempting to teach. So I think some of the other moves that black could try to do and defend the position was, well, I see a lot of h5, so let me address this h5. The problem with h5 is I will still play queen g6. And it doesn't matter if you take over here because I have queen g5 and something with bishop f6, I can still take it. And, well, your king is pretty honored right now. Okay. He wants a head drop. Oh my god, I will not be able to play US Championships. Imagine I'm like in a time trouble, like I got 2 minutes, and he, His Majesty, wants a face drop or a head drop? Oh my god. Come on, kitty. Yeah, online chess plus cats. It's actually funny. The first round I'm playing Sabina, and we both have cats, so that will be a war of cats, I guess. Whose cat will meow louder? But okay, so the name of my cat is actually Cat, just in a different language. I call it Pishi, which literally means cat, so wasn't very creative with that. But you can also think about it in a poetic way, that he's the only cat in the whole world for me. I wasn't thinking about that when I named him, but sure, we can make it a little philosophical. Alright, so yes, I do not think h5 works, but to be completely honest, if not queen g6 with idea queen g5, then h5 would be a good defense. So if white doesn't see this queen g6, but queen c2's idea is to play queen g6, so I don't think white would necessarily miss this idea. So, anyways, the best way to defend this position actually is rook g8. I have no idea just how one would think about this. I think the best way to think about it is if you have already trained yourself to not want to have the dropping pieces. So this one is a dropping piece, right? So we don't really want to drop, I mean, it's a defenseless piece. So we don't want the pieces to be defenseless. So we could play rook g8 with that logic. And then if you play queen g6, black could try to play knight c7. Oh, holy guacamole. And I mean, black is just defending, but it's just so. What is the right word for this position? This is just a sad position. It's so horrible to try and defend this. Eric, I am not a junior anymore. I still feel 18, but I am 22, so I did not play in the juniors. I will play in the US Women's Championship next week, and I really have to finish my preparation for that. So don't tell it to my opponent. When you're talking to my opponents, go on their streams. I'm super prepared. Oh my god, I got the top 10 world players preparing for me. Go with that. Spread some fear. No, I I haven't been preparing that deep, but don't tell that to anybody. Um, yeah. Anyways, so besides my awesome U.S. Championships preparation, let's um, let's go back to the game at hand. Yeah. Ah, yeah, I know. Well, I guess thank you for your honesty, Eric. No, I'm just hoping to play good quality games. I just want to play good quality games because it's really, I don't know, the one of the best life lessons I got from the Eric Rosen was that he's so honest about his goals. He doesn't try to make it look super big. He's not like, oh my god, I want to be world champion one day, which a lot of players do actually say. And when somebody asks me like, what are your chess goals? Like, what do you want to do for this tournament? I feel like I'm kind of obligated to say, I want to win it, but that is not necessarily true. Sometimes like you want to just play good chess. If you win, it's awesome. I'm not gonna object to that. But yeah, I'm considering that depending on how well the games go. How high seated am I? So it's a little weird because with USCF I'm not I'm in this bottom half, but when you close to the end with the USCF, but with FIDE rating I'm actually kind of close to the middle. So I think that's actually a little interesting. So it depends how you look at it. But yeah, so, yeah, big shout out to Eric Rosen for indirectly teaching me that lesson. It was a very interesting. Just I feel like it's just sudden. It's just like you should be honest with yourself, your goals, and I feel like if you're someone that they just see once a year, then you can just be like, yeah, I want to win all tournaments. But if you're more of a familiar face, I don't feel obligated to say I want to win this tournament and then I want to qualify for the men's championship and I want to win that. I'm not gonna say something like that, as funny as it sounds. Okay, so after knight c7, what do you think we should do as white? This is a pretty tricky position, and I didn't find the best move here. The best move is queen e4, which is a little, to be honest, it is quite weird. So if you are not finding these moves, please don't feel free to, you know, feel weird. Just it's just a hard move to find. And okay, with that note, I'm gonna leave it at f4 is to come, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So let's go back to the position at hand where Kramnik slightly messed it up with queen takes d4. After queen takes d4, I think now we could start with, let's go to queen g6, right? Main threat, I want to eat over here, and then over there. So you have to stop that. So what do you guys think? What do you think happens if queen takes g4? Do you think queen takes g4 is the best move, or do we have anything else? Do I want to earn the GM title? That is a good question. I think in a long run, yes, but that is not in my close future goal, because I am preparing for the MCAT. how is it going? Can anybody hear me? I think I don't know, my mic somehow died, literally. I wasn't touching it, I wasn't even looking at it. I guess the sound is back, but I don't expect it to be so great. So, no, I wish my cat was that trained. That would be so useful during online exams, but no, he's not. Okay, let's just go back to the game. I was mentioning after Queen G6, and I brought up a question on, well, where do we want to well, how can Black stop this? And I don't think Black can. Ha! Oh my God! I gave my answer to GM question. All right, I'll give it. I'll give you the. I'll repeat the answer a little deeper in the game because we still haven't gotten to the cool parts, and I really want to continue to the cool parts. So I feel like Queen G4 is the humane move. Black could potentially try something with Bishop F6, but I doubt humans would do this, especially because, well, Knight B7 is coming, taking over here is coming, so I could just take. Which one should I take? If I take over here, Queen takes F6. But then can't I just pick that up? Like Queen e4, this is falling. I don't know, this just feels pretty awesome. So Queen g6, Queen takes g4, of course we're gonna take that. And Knight b7, super logical move as well. So now, this was a very interesting position too. So I am going to ask you guys this question, white to move, what do you want to do? Heads up, if you want to play knight d6, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to play knight d6, please tell me what would you do after that. So knight d6, king's gotta go to d8, then what do you do? So I'll give you guys about 30 seconds or so. Wow, well, don't even need 30 seconds. No, that is actually a very interesting choice. Yeah, good job. A4 is the best move. Because the thing is, if after a4 you take on b7, I'm just going to take on d7, and this is a super lost position for black. Just this is coming. This rook is opening. Ugh. Yeah. However, after after a4, b4 seems to be the strongest way to go about this. So now again, white to move. How do you think we can try and open up this position a little bit? So now, while you guys are telling me what should white do, I'm gonna answer the GM question. So I feel like I do want to deep down, but I don't think that that's something that I will be able to actually dedicate my life to because achieving the GM title and the rating needed, it's gonna take a few years. But I don't have those few years now because I'm finishing my undergrad, and especially this semester, next few months, I'm preparing for MCAT to enter the medical school, and then after medical school, it's the whole well, medical school, and then residency, and then so I feel like I have chosen a different life path, but I do think that well, if you consider doctor, I could become a GM in medical field. So I no, I don't think. I think that's something that maybe potentially in like future I would consider deeply, but not in the next few years. Which university am I? St. Louis University. And all right, I see some ideas with bringing the rook, bringing the knight. I don't think we should touch this knight. That knight is just awesome. You take it, ha! I will eat on d7, and that should be enough to make you cry. So how about just rook c1? Because just thinking about it logically, this rook here is not really doing anything. Hello. But rook on c1, you're trying to open up. So after rook c1, what do you want to do after c3? Your instructor, Mr. Pishi. Yeah, What profession do I want to do? Surgery, definitely. Yeah. Yep. We gotta take this. You gotta try and open this up. So b takes c3. I believe b3 is the strongest way to go because, well, if even if you try to take this with the knight, again, there are so many different ways for white to win. I think the coolest way is just with queen e7. You just want to pick pawns up. So yeah, I think that would be a cool idea. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, knight c3 doesn't feel good. b3, and on the other hand, b3 is pretty awesome. After b3, we can simply go for c4. This is where the game got really interesting. So, black plays rook g8. Check. We gotta save the knight. We don't want to lose our knight. And in this position, white made a slight inaccuracy, and white just took on d5, which is the title of Wait, Where's My Queen, as you can see, because he just kind of gave his queen up. But the best way was not to sacrifice the queen, surprise, surprise. The best way was to play h3. Now, I don't know if I would like to interview Topalov on this. So, Topalov, if you see this stream, I would like your answer on why you played h3, why you didn't play h3, but that sounds quite unlikely to happen, so we're just gonna look at h3 by ourselves. I think h3, the cool thing is that, well, if you took over here, after taking on g4, this knight, then the rook are both hanging, so that makes perfect sense, like an easy endgame win. However, I think not taking was the concern, something potentially with queen e2, but then we have like queen takes e6, and because the queen on g4 um, is not defending e6 anymore, so you pick that up, and this is actually much better. You move the queen next move, and this bishop is opening up, so I think that was a more interesting choice. But come on, who can say no to giving up a queen like that, right? So, all right. So, what do you guys think? This position, white to move. What do you think white should do? Also, do you think white is winning, or do you think black can survive this? Mm-hmm. I like white too. Yeah, I think it's a little weird position to look at, just because when you're attacking, you don't exactly expect to sacrifice the queen and not get mate next few moves. So I think that's an interesting way to look at it. So yeah, rook e8. Now, I see most people are saying somewhere between rook b1 and knight d6. All right, thank you. Knight d6. I'm not saying rook b1 is not good, but knight d6 just it's more annoying because the poor guy just played rook e8 and we're going after it. So now this was actually a very awesome skill game that Topalov did. Just he played rook c4. I feel like rook c4 is just so trying to find the right word, but I can't. It's just so destroying. Like you have to move your queen, and look how beautifully everything is defended, and you can just simply pick up that pawn, and it's just so beautiful. Exactly, it's so classy. After take, knight b6, rook b4, everything is just so chill, and your pawns. This pawn is something that actually initially made me think, double think, just hey, is this a potential issue? But I think this is actually just eye candy, which I can eat anytime soon. E8 is coming up. And okay, I think this was a very interesting game. We still have a few moves to go. So I want to ask, why to move? What do you think we should do? Oh, you're a medical student. Last year in Portugal. Wow, nice. Yeah, I'm still trying to studying for MCAT is painful. It's just I keep like my weeks are flying by. Don't they? Please tell me my sound is here. No, it says that my audio input is here. Well, the sound is moving. Um, yeah, please let me know if you're having trouble hearing me. No. Okay. Yeah, YouTube is still showing. Never mind, never mind. Okay, there was a mention about, Bassem. He is a doctor. Yeah, I was very impressed by him when I was just, where I was just beginning my chess career. Yeah, but I think he got his GM title before he became a doctor. So I think that's a little easier. I have my woman grandmaster and my international master titles, but I don't. I feel like it's a little bit different level comparing me to Basim. How long till I finish my studies? Oh man, it's continuous. Yeah, 2 years undergrad I've got left, and 4 years med school, bunch of year residency. I would say seven, so never ends. Yeah, so I see there's a lot of different ideas with knight b5 and so, but you have to take the. I feel like this was a particularly interesting position, like right now, because like even though there is a material imbalance, Topalov took the time and he played h3. Like actually, when I saw this move earlier, when I was just trying to prepare a game for you guys, I actually laughed so hard. It was a I had to. I was drinking tea. I had to clean her out. So yeah, this H3 was just such a funny move to me. Like you don't expect to see H3 happening in this type of positions. So yeah. Kramnik continued with H5, chill, knight f7, chill E6, and it's not so chill because if you take it, well, I'm not. It's not gonna be too chill for black, right? So yeah. Um, yeah, I think this H3 was such a fun thing and just it's just painful for black because black can't really do anything. Black has this like extra queen. Well, not extra because well, white has enough material for it, more than enough. But it's like when you see a queen on the board, you don't expect to see these kind of positions. You expect to see more interesting, more trying to attack. So I think that was a particularly painful game for Kramnik. Yeah, I have enough painful games. I know a painful game when I see one. Anyways, let me just try to finish this up. We're on the last moves. So basically, Kramnik resigned here because, well, I also knight c7 and rook b7 are coming up. And I think this was particularly lovely because in the last, like, I want to say 5, 7 moves, White wasn't actively trying to blackmate. White was just advancing his position. And I think that's one of the big concepts that we tend to forget about when we're attacking. We don't. I feel like we don't take a moment to just take a breath and then realize and then reevaluate, just figure out what the position needs. When we see the king, we just want to go after the king. So I think that's the little psychological lesson that I wanted to share. And yeah, I guess that is the game I wanted to show you for today. And I see a lot of interesting questions and comments in the chat, but I don't want to keep Pepe waiting. So I am gonna go ahead and say goodbye to you guys. I will see you again on Friday on Twitch. But me until then, have fun with Pepe. Have a great rest of your night.